Hi there. Welcome to Reddit Confessions. Today's story. Let's just say, some things you're not supposed to hear. And when you do, nothing ever feels real again. It's pathetic how he still thinks I'd pick him. That's what I heard. I wasn't supposed to be home yet. She didn't know I was standing there. And I didn't mean to listen, but those words shattered something in me so violently, I couldn't even remember how to breathe. I stood in the hallway, heart racing, palms cold, staring at the light spilling from the half-open bedroom door. Her voice floated out, soft and smug, like she was sharing a secret she'd waited too long to say out loud. "No, I'm serious," she continued. "If I had the chance to do it all over again, I'd never choose him." I didn't wait to hear who she was talking to. I didn't need to. The way her voice changed, that laugh I hadn't heard in years, I knew. It wasn't a friend. It wasn't family. It was someone who got to hear the version of her I hadn't seen in a long time. And just like that, the air in the house changed. It wasn't our home anymore. It was a stranger's mouth spitting nails into my chest. I didn't knock. I didn't walk in. I didn't even whisper her name. I just turned around, and left. No dramatic exit. No confrontation. No goodbye. Just me, quietly grabbing my keys, slipping past the echo of her betrayal, and walking out into the night like I was never part of her story to begin with. I drove for hours without a destination. Past blinking gas stations. Past empty roads that looked just as lonely as I felt. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just replayed the moment over and over again. I'd never choose him. You know what hurts the most? She didn't even lie about it. I parked in front of a closed laundromat around 2 a.m. The lights inside were buzzing but the place was empty, except for a single dryer that kept spinning with no one watching. It was weirdly hypnotic. I just sat there, engine off, hands still gripping the wheel like I was afraid the truck would float away if I let go. I couldn't bring myself to check my phone. I didn't want to see a text from her, or worse, the absence of one. She hadn't even noticed I was gone. Not then, and not for hours. I kept playing that sentence on repeat like a punishment loop. If I had the chance to do it all over again, I'd never choose him. No name. No context. Just pure certainty in her voice, like she was ordering a coffee, not cutting my soul in half. And yeah, I guess that's what finally made it real. It wasn't rage. It wasn't betrayal. It was her indifference. She didn't hesitate. She didn't sigh. She didn't sound conflicted. She just said it. And what scared me most? I think I always knew she felt that way. I just didn't want to hear it spoken out loud. Because once the words are real, you can't unhear them. You can't unfeel them. You can't go back to pretending you're not just some obligation she's been dragging along out of guilt or habit. I ended up crashing on the floor of my friend Seth's auto garage. He's got a couch in the back office, but even that felt too good for me. I didn't want to explain. I just told him I needed a place to breathe. He tossed me the keys without questions, and I closed the door behind me like I was locking the past out. Spoiler, I wasn't. The next morning, my phone had 6 missed calls from Lana. 2 texts. No, are you okay? No, where are you? Just. Where'd you go? You left your charger. I stared at those words until they blurred. That's what I was to her now. An empty charger and a hollow inconvenience. A missing item, not a missing person. I didn't respond. Not out of anger, but because I genuinely had nothing to say. What could I even write back? Sorry I walked out while you were deciding I was the wrong choice. Sorry I ever believed I was the right one. I didn't go to work. I didn't go home. I didn't even eat. But I did drive. I went to the one place I always avoided, the old diner 2 towns over where she and I used to go before we got married. We hadn't been there in 6 years. It was her favorite spot. The waffles were terrible, but the windows faced the lake. And for a moment, I just sat at the counter, sipping burnt coffee and trying to remember what it felt like when we were still something. That's when I made a stupid, weak mistake. I opened her social media. And what I saw made me wish I had never turned my phone on. There she was, smiling in a selfie I didn't take. Wearing a necklace I didn't buy. In a room I didn't recognize. And standing right behind her, barely in frame but close enough, was a man with a shirt I'll never forget. Blue plaid. Wrinkled collar. Beard I'd never seen. And I realized I hadn't heard her say my name in weeks, but someone else's name had started echoing in our house long before I noticed. I stared at that photo so long my phone went dim twice. Every time I tapped the screen to wake it, his blurred face stared back at me like it knew something I didn't. He was barely visible, a shadow behind her shoulder, but his presence screamed louder than anything. There was no tag, no caption, no location. Just Lana, beaming, holding a glass of something golden, and looking new. Not just happy. Rewritten. Like the version of her I used to know had been replaced by someone shinier, someone who existed outside the walls of our marriage. I zoomed in. I don't know why. Maybe I thought if I looked close enough, I'd find something innocent. Some hint that this man wasn't who I already knew he was. But I did recognize him. And the second I did, my stomach twisted into knots so tight I thought I'd be sick right there in the diner. His name was Cole. Cole Landry. I hadn't seen him in nearly a decade, but I knew that smirk. The kind of smirk that never changed, even when he got fired from 2 jobs in a row for misunderstandings. The same Cole who used to crash on our couch when his roommates kicked him out. The same Cole who flirted with every waitress we ever met, including Lana, before she and I were even official. He was a memory I had deliberately buried. A red flag I thought Lana had agreed was in the past. But now, apparently, he was back. And he wasn't crashing on couches anymore, he was standing in her photos like he belonged there. That night, I did something I'm ashamed of. I created a fake profile. Yeah, I know, pathetic. Childish. But when you're desperate and hurt and have no one to talk to, logic stops being part of the equation. I sent him a friend request using some fake name, added a few mutuals, and waited. He accepted in 20 minutes. His profile was wide open. Public. And that's when the bottom fell out. There were more photos. Not just of Lana. Of dinners. Drinks. Weekend hikes. A blurry shot of the back of a woman's head that I recognized by the curve of her neck alone. And one post, dated 2 weeks ago, that crushed whatever was left of me. Lucky to be reconnecting with the one that got away. Some stories write themselves. No names. No tags. But I didn't need any. The post had one comment. Just one. Lana, some chapters are worth rewriting. That was it. I closed my laptop so hard it made a cracking sound. I sat there in Seth's garage for hours, staring at the wall, feeling like the world had shifted without telling me. I kept asking myself questions I knew had no answers. When did it start? Did it ever end? Was I just a layover on her way back to him? Was our entire marriage just some detour she regretted taking? And most disturbingly, how long had she been planning to rewrite this chapter? I finally responded to one of her texts that night. 3 words. I saw everything. She didn't reply right away. But when she did, it changed the direction of everything. Her reply came at 2:17 a.m. No ringing. No typing bubble. Just a single, tightly packed message that dropped into my inbox like a brick through a windshield. I sat up on the futon in the garage, my pulse hammering so loudly I barely noticed I was holding my breath. Clifton, I can explain. Please don't do anything stupid. Call me. That was it. That was her version of damage control. Not, I'm sorry. Not, you're wrong. Not even, it's not what it looks like. Just please don't do anything stupid. She didn't sound concerned for me. She sounded scared, for herself. I didn't call. I didn't want to hear her voice. I didn't want her to twist the truth into some sweet-sounding excuse that would only leave me doubting my own sanity. Instead, I sat in silence, replaying her words, and Cole's post, over and over again until I felt like I was unraveling thread by thread. The next morning, I drove to the park where we used to take our Sunday walks. I hadn't planned to go there, my body just drove on autopilot, like it wanted to torture me with memories of when things felt normal. Back when we held hands and talked about paint colors and adoption agencies. Back when I believed we were still writing our own story. That park bench near the pond. That's where I once told her I'd never leave, no matter how hard life got. I was such a fool. By noon, she texted again. I never meant for you to find out like this. So it was true. No denial. No bluffing. Just confirmation, wrapped in that awful blend of guilt and manipulation she was always good at when she knew she'd gone too far. Still, I said nothing. That evening, Seth found me staring at the garage wall like it owed me answers. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a wrapped sandwich and a bottle of water like I was some lost kid waiting for a ride home. You wanna punch something? He asked. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I hadn't felt anything resembling rage. Just this hollow ache that nothing could fill. Later that night, she sent another message. This one was longer. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Cole reached out to me after his divorce. We started talking. It was innocent at first, just memories. Just catching up. I didn't plan it. I didn't plan any of this. I love you, Clifton. I do. But I felt like I was disappearing. Like I didn't exist anymore. You've been so checked out for so long, and I made a mistake. Please come home. We can fix this. I want to fix this. I read it twice. Then a third time. And for a moment, a terrifying, shameful moment, I believed her. I wanted to believe her. That maybe I had been distant. Maybe I had made it easy for her to drift. Maybe if I had been more attentive, more spontaneous, more anything, she wouldn't have needed to look for comfort somewhere else. But that's what betrayal does to you. It makes you blame yourself for bleeding. Still, something about her message didn't sit right. She said, Cole reached out to me. But Cole's post said, reconnecting with the one that got away. Those weren't the words of someone randomly catching up. Those were the words of a man picking up where something had left off. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about now. This had roots. There was a chapter of her life I was never meant to read, and it started long before I ever entered the picture. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. My head kept replaying Lana's message, not the apology, not the lies, but that single phrase, Cole reached out to me. It sounded rehearsed. Sanitized. Too clean for something that had already scorched everything we built. I had no proof yet, but deep down I knew, this hadn't started recently. This wasn't new. Cole wasn't just some ghost from the past knocking on the door. He'd always been there, hiding in her memory like a flame waiting for dry wood. I started digging. It began innocently enough. Just scrolling through old social media photos, wondering if I had missed anything. Looking for signs. And I found them, not many, but just enough to make my skin crawl. A comment from Cole under one of our honeymoon photos, "You look amazing, Lana. Some people are lucky and don't even know it." Posted 6 years ago. I'd never seen it before. She hadn't replied, but she hadn't deleted it either. Then there were the photo tags. I clicked through albums on her private account I'd long stopped paying attention to. In one from years ago, before she and I even met, there was a picture of her and Cole. Not posed. Not smiling. Just the two of them sitting on the hood of a car, his hand resting on her knee like it belonged there. The caption: "Some people never leave you, no matter how far they go." My stomach twisted. Because right then, I realized something I had never even considered: I might have been the mistake she tried to make work, not the love she was trying to hold on to. I kept going, like some sick archaeologist of my own collapse. Digging into comments. Old email exchanges. Then finally, a folder on our shared drive I hadn't opened in years, one labeled "Wedding Planning." Inside, buried between menu options and vendor quotes, was a document titled "Bold Letters." I don't even know why I clicked on it. Maybe I was hoping to find a version of her that still felt something for me. But what I found was a string of unsent letters to Cole. Dated the year we got engaged. One of them written 2 days after I proposed. She never sent them. Maybe she never meant to. But they were raw. Unfiltered. And they weren't written like someone trying to forget, they were written by someone trying not to go back. One letter read: "I said yes to Clifton. He's safe. He's kind. He'll give me a good life. But I still dream about the nights in your truck. The way you made me feel like I was electric. Maybe I'm just chasing stability now. Maybe that's what growing up is. But God, if you asked me to run away tomorrow, I don't know what I'd say." I dropped my laptop. I just dropped it. The sound echoed through the garage and startled a raccoon in the alley outside. It felt like the world had cracked open beneath me. So it was true. All of it. I wasn't the guy she fought for. I was the guy she settled for. The backup plan. The safe bet when the thrill got too chaotic. And now that the thrill had come knocking again, she couldn't help herself. That night, I didn't cry. Not because I was strong, but because the grief had gone so deep it looped back around into numbness. I didn't know what hurt more, the betrayal now, or the realization that maybe I was never really loved at all. Just tolerated. Until something more exciting came back into view. I didn't text her back. I didn't call. I did one thing, though. I printed the letter. Folded it. And the next day, I slid it into an envelope and dropped it into her mailbox. No return address. No note. Just her own words, coming home to her like a boomerang she thought she'd buried. She showed up at Seth's garage the next morning. I didn't hear her pull in. I just looked up and saw her through the dusty window, standing there in her light gray coat, holding the envelope in both hands like it had burned her. Her face was pale, hair tied back like she was trying to appear composed, but her lips trembled, and her eyes scanned the room like she wasn't sure I'd still be inside. I should have told Seth to lock the place. Should have ignored the knock. Should have hidden. But instead, I opened the door and stepped outside into the bitter air. I didn't say a word. Just leaned against the wall, arms crossed, waiting. She held up the envelope like it was proof of something. "You went through my files. That's what you lead with?" I laughed bitterly. Not, "I'm sorry," not, "I never meant to hurt you." Just, "You went through my files." Lana lowered the envelope, her expression shifting from confrontation to something more pitiful, like she had rehearsed 1,000 versions of this conversation and none of them had gone her way. She took a step closer. "It was years ago, Clifton. I didn't even send those. I was confused." "You were engaged to me," I interrupted, the words heavier than I meant them to be. "You were confused about marrying me, and instead of talking to me, you were writing love letters to another man. You're not sorry. You're caught." She flinched at that. Actually flinched. And for a second, I thought she was going to finally break down and confess. Cry. Beg. Something. But what she said next froze the blood in my veins. You were never supposed to read that letter because you were never supposed to matter that much. My ears rang. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but no words came. I felt like my lungs had collapsed inward. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She wasn't being cruel. She said it the way someone explains an old scar, casually. Thoughtfully. Like it was just a fact of life. I thought if I chose you, the feelings would come, she continued quietly. You were kind. Steady. After what I went through with Cole, I wanted peace. I thought I could build love from gratitude. But I was wrong. I tried. I swear I tried, Clifton. I shook my head slowly, hands trembling. Then why didn't you leave? Why'd you stay with someone who you didn't even love? Because you were safe, she snapped suddenly, eyes flaring with emotion. You were the kind of man who didn't make me feel like I was falling off a cliff. You showed up. You fixed things. You let me breathe. But not feel, I said. I gave you calm and you craved chaos. She wiped her cheek, realizing she had started to cry without knowing. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, I whispered. Silence settled between us like fog, thick and damp with everything we didn't say. She looked smaller now, not the bright, captivating Lana I had fallen in love with. Just a woman standing in the ruins of the story she thought she could control. Finally, she asked, "What do you want me to do?" I looked past her, toward the horizon. I didn't have an answer. Not yet. Not one I trusted myself to say out loud. I want to know who I was to you, I said instead. Honestly. All of it. Not the version you tell yourself to sleep at night, the truth. Who was I to you, Lana? Her eyes glazed over. She didn't reply. Not with words. But the silence told me more than anything she could have said. I was her shield. Her backup plan. Her calm after a storm she missed more than she should have. She turned to go. Didn't wait for a goodbye. Just walked back to her car and drove away, the letter still crumpled in her hand. And that's when something in me snapped. Not in rage. Not in revenge. But in clarity. I was done mourning someone who never truly chose me. The strange thing about letting go is how quiet it is. There's no crash, no bang, no music swelling like in the movies. There's just stillness. The kind that makes your heart beat too loud in your chest and your breath sound foreign in your own ears. That's how I felt 2 days after she left the garage, standing in our living room, packing the last box with hands that didn't even shake anymore. I hadn't told her I was leaving. I didn't scream. I didn't set the house on fire or expose her affair on social media. I just waited until she was gone for one of her late-night walks, and I left. No note. No warning. I dropped the keys in the silver bowl by the door, the one we used to toss spare change into after groceries. The one that used to sound like home. I moved in with my aunt for a bit. It was quiet there, mostly books, soft clocks ticking, and the occasional smell of lemon polish. She didn't ask me many questions. Just made me tea and sat across from me in silence. I think she knew. I think she'd seen this kind of heartbreak before, the kind that doesn't scream, it just dims you. For the first time in weeks, I stopped checking my phone. I didn't care if Lana messaged. I wasn't waiting for her to realize what she'd lost. Because the truth? She hadn't lost me. She'd never fully had me to begin with. But that doesn't mean she stopped trying. 3 days after I vanished, she called from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice cracked through the speaker as I sat in the kitchen, lights off, just listening. "Clifton, what are you doing? You can't just leave. This isn't how this ends. We're supposed to talk through this, not ghost each other. Please call me. I didn't think you'd just walk away. Didn't think I could walk away. That was the difference. All those years, I'd made it too easy to stay. Too easy to lean on me. To rely on me. She thought I'd always be there to forgive the damage, patch the cracks, smile through the ache. But something inside me had shifted, not out of hate, but out of exhaustion. That week, I changed my number. Cancelled the lease transfer we were about to sign for that bigger house she wanted. I shut down our joint savings and transferred my half. I even called the caterer we had booked for our vow renewal, told them we'd be cancelling. The woman on the phone asked if we'd like to reschedule. I said no. Not now. Not ever. I left the wedding box, photos, letters, keepsakes, on her mother's porch, wrapped in brown paper and tied with the same ribbon she used on our anniversary gifts. No note. Just memories. Heavy ones. But I wasn't trying to be dramatic. I wasn't trying to punish her. I just needed to end it, not with a bang, but with a full stop. A cold, clear end to the story I had spent too many years pretending still had a plot. And here's the strange part. 2 days later, I got an email. Not from her. From him. Cole. I almost deleted it without opening. But curiosity is a wicked thing, and my heart still hadn't learned how to ignore pain disguised as closure. The subject line read, "For what it's worth." And the message inside? It didn't say what I expected. Cole's message was short. 2 paragraphs. No greeting. No sign-off. Just words typed in a plain black font that somehow cut cleaner than anything Lana had ever said. You don't know me, and you don't owe me a reply. But I needed to say it out loud. I didn't come back into her life to wreck yours, not intentionally. I didn't even know she was still with you at first. She told me you two were distant. Unhappy. I believed her. That's on me. But I will tell you this, she never let go of me. Not even back then. Even when she smiled at you in those pictures, I was getting emails, late-night calls, even photos. I never responded until recently, and even then, I hesitated. But she made the move, not me. She kept one foot in your life and one in the memory of mine. And that's not fair to either of us. I stared at the screen, numb. It was a strange sort of closure, hearing it from the man she said she never meant to fall back into. But it made something click into place inside me. Something cold, then clean. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't blind. I was just trusting someone who couldn't make peace with her own past. And I wasn't angry anymore. I didn't even hate him. I felt free. That weekend, I booked a cabin up north. Just me, a few paperbacks, no phone signal, and the quiet creak of pine trees in the wind. I sat by a lake in the mornings and listened to my own breath for once. No pretending. No tension in my shoulders. No wondering if I'd said the wrong thing or if I was enough. I stopped asking why she did what she did. Because the truth is, some people just don't know how to love quietly. They only know how to chase what sparkles. And I was never meant to sparkle, I was meant to steady. And now, I get to steady myself. So yeah, it still stings. Sometimes I miss her laugh or the way she used to curl up under my arm on cold nights. But I don't miss the guessing. I don't miss the ache. And I don't miss feeling like I was waiting for someone who'd already left. Now, I'm starting over. I'm not rushing into anything. I'm just learning to trust the quiet again. Learning that walking away isn't weakness, it's knowing your worth and not begging someone to see it. And maybe, just maybe, the next time I let someone in, it'll be someone who doesn't see me as the safe choice. Just the right one. Thanks for watching this story here on Reddit Confessions. Have you ever overheard something that changed everything? Or maybe you've been in a situation where silence told you more than words ever could. Let us know in the comments below, We read every one. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more real, raw, and unforgettable stories, only here, on Reddit Confessions.